Hi there, I'm Richard. Welcome to Burning Spears. Today I'm going to be doing a video that I've been meaning to make for a very long time. What is the difference between a braai and a barbecue? So before I get onto that, just some background. I live in the UK, have done for 5 or 6 years now. But braaiing it's part of my DNA. Cooking on fire is part of my DNA. And the term live fire now is very fashionable. Live fire means cooking on a open fire with flame. For me, that's standard. That's how I grew up cooking. So it's not a fad with South Africans or Africans in general. It is just a simple way of cooking, and in many ways the only way of cooking. So basically, I'm going to try and get this timed in between showers. I have delayed and started and delayed. I've mowed my grass, so I'm a bit grubby, so I apologize for that. But it's going to be a great video, so stick around. I'll go through a lot of what we believe as South Africans of what a braai is, and the difference to the barbecue. Barbecues of around the world, let's say the States, England and Australia, you know, those sort of countries. So without further ado, I'm going to light the fire, because that is of course the most important part of it. So I'm fortunate enough to be drinking a South African brandy and Coke today. Also a very socially important drink in the South African alcoholic stable. Just delicious. So what is the difference between a braai and a barbecue? So basically a barbecue is an event, can be very quick, with sort of burgers, sausages, often done on gas, sometimes electric or soles, charcoal, and sometimes wood. But generally it's that sort of thing. And you know, there will be things like ribs, and there'll be some smoked stuff, and a lot of other fare. And I've got to be careful with putting myself into a corner, but of course this is subjective. I have my own opinions, as I hope do you. So I will offend some people with my take, but certainly on the braai side, I'm a purist. I know I'm correct there. But back to barbecues. So I need to separate the barbecue as to BBQ. So I'm not talking about pits with offset smokers and stuff like that on, or South American churrascos or anything like that. I'm strictly talking about barbecues, the quick fire events that you cook with family and friends, social events. So I've seen a lot of barbecues done in parks. Barbecues are done on those foil tray instant barbecues and stuff like that. Not really a braai. So a braai it's very traditional and very cultural in South Africa and Southern Africa. So much so that it holds a massive social weight into how we socialize and congregate and celebrate, or we're just hungry. So Africa's linked to fire. Fire's in all of our humans' DNA, but Africa's link to fire is quite special, because apart from cooking, there was the whole keeping animals at bay and all that sort of thing. So it's very important across all races in South Africa and Southern Africa. So the races do braais a little bit different, or can do braais a little bit different. I'll touch onto those when I touch the meat. But South African braai, apart from being really traditional, really cultural, is wood. Cooking on a wood fire, an open fire, like they like to use these days, live fire, as I've said. So it's all about the wood, tending the coals, getting the right temperature. So much so that a lot of braais happen with the guys congregating, and then they're drinking their way through and talking enough SH1T that the coals get too cold, so they build a fire again. And all of a sudden It's 11 o'clock at night. The kids have gone to bed with some pizza. The ladies are pretty upset because they were looking forward to all the food, and they will then the meat gets put on, often gets burnt and rushed. But that's your bad braai. It's quite a big joke in South Africa that's how it's done. And similarly to barbecues, the men take all the credit. They come, they stand around the fire and talk nonsense. The ladies do all the prep in the kitchen, bring it out. The men cook it, hopefully well, otherwise they just burn it. All goes back in. The ladies get it all set up to serve, and then the guys get all the credit. So those are some of the commonalities with a barbecue, a barbie, and a braai. But when you cook on wood, it's quite special. The flavor is excellent, and gas is a no-no. As a purist, a braai purist, gas does not feature in any form of braai cooking. Gas, but of course everyone's got their own artistic license, and they're allowed to do things how they want to do things, thankfully, on this planet. So they will. So you could get people who braai on gas, but it's not the right way. Charcoal is an edgy subject. I use a lot of charcoal in the UK now because to get good quality South African braai wood or hardwoods is quite hard to do and quite expensive. So I generally tend to use some of this on a charcoal bed to sort of get that smoke and that flavor into the meat while having enough heat to carry on with the cook. So wood, and that's a braai. So I'm going to take you on to a little bit more of the items used for braai. So this is a half drum or a braai stand. Apologies for the wind, I might have to do voiceovers on this should it be too bad. But this is a typical South African braai, but a braai can be done on anything, like a purpose machine manufactured one, or a fire pit with a grid. Those folding grids are really good. Hopefully one day all over the world you'll be able to get them. Could be on a hole in the ground. And a half drum is something that I grew up on. Gives you a large amount of real estate to cook on. See that glorious wood there. Okay, so basically I'm going to build up the embers with the hardwood, and then I'm going to layer them down so I get a cold zone, a warm zone, going right up to a searing zone. So that's going to be the play, which I'll show you in a bit. So hardwood like this is traditionally going to take ages to develop into coals, but that's the joy of it. There's a lot of socializing while that happens. Now in South Africa, when you braai at someone's house, you don't get involved in their braai. You aren't allowed really to, unless of course you're invited and if he trusts you to cook. But at someone's house, it's like it's like the similarity between a wife and a braai, I suppose, is you don't touch someone else's braai. And then of course the braai tongs or the barbecue tongs, and much fanfare. This is a standard sort of call to arms and must be done as a double click. That's just what you will see people do quite a bit, just so that they sound busy and important like. Okay, so typical braai fare, there can be a lot to it. It can be one or two items, but one of the most culturally significant braai fare is a boerewors. Thick or thin, but I say that size matters. This is homemade. It's a South African sausage that can contain one or more of beef, lamb and pork, very coriander driven. Normally I would have braai rashers, which are like thicker bacon slices, uncured, pork belly that I would cook. I couldn't get any of those in time, so I've just got some pork chops. I've got a beautiful rump steak. Now rump steak is South African staple because it's not as expensive as the other cuts, and it's delicious. Beautiful fat cap. I don't mind the slight more toughness, or that's bad English, of the rump because of the flavor. The flavor is really good. I've got a great quality ribeye. Chicken wings are very common. Lamb chops. Those of you who've seen my lamb videos, you know that I like lamb. South Africans as a whole love lamb. Now a lot of South African meat is marinated or seasoned and spiced, often heavily seasoned and spiced. South Africans like using commercial spices which are very salt heavy, and they put them on in vast quantities. So you're allowed to add what you need. So I'm going to do the pork. I'm going to do them with Cajun spice today. So the supermarket shelves in South Africa, the spice aisles are dominated with grill or braai spicing. Here's a Robertson's. It's a popular brand. This is steak seasoning. Very heavy on clove and coriander. Very salty. This is a beautiful done steak specimen. Scottish beef. Then similarly, steak and chop seasoning. Very similar stuff. I don't even know if they're any different, to be honest with you. Then on the wings, I'm going to go with a nice fajita seasoning. Heavy coat. So I think that braai sides and barbecue sides have got a lot in common, and certainly a lot of braai sides have been taken and adapted from barbecue sides. Today I've got something simple. I've got a potato salad, pasta salad that's just got some a little bit of spinach, some pesto, some pine nuts, and then a 4-bean salad with some corn in it. I love adding this to a green salad just to bulk it out. Delicious. Okay, as you'll see, it's been about half an hour and we've broken down nicely. That's what you want. And you'll see I've kept a high layer here with it gradually getting thinner to no coals on this side. So I've got my various heat zones that I can obtain some heat control. Heat control is of course the most important part about cooking in general. Then with this lovely split grill system, I'm just going to get them on the direct coals and brush them off just to sterilize them, and then it's time to cook. So one of the joys about having this real estate is the heat control, like I've said. So you've got a really hot area that will still be hot enough to cook steaks. So often steaks are done at the end when the fire's out and you get grey steaks. We won't have that today. And then there's a lot of talk about 4 seconds, so holding your hand for 4 seconds. That doesn't really indicate much to me because I like cooking with a high heat and moving stuff away once I've got the char. So I'm going to use this area initially because that's all blazingly hot, and slowly progress things and move things around. It's really nice to have such a big grill area. So if your grill is a little bit dirty, you burn it off, brush off as much as you can, and then you can use half an onion to rub the grill to season a little bit of oil, half a lemon, anything like that, just to help clean the grill and provide a coating so your meat doesn't stick directly to the hot grill. So once I get to learn my heat of my fire a little bit, I can be a bit more adventurous and I can start getting things on. So essentially I'm putting the stuff that should go sort of like a low and slow on a little bit earlier so that the timing is right. That's the hardest part. So a lot of people will generally cook stuff like this and then put it in a metal like meat dish and cover it. and keep it warm. For me, you lose a lot of the crispiness that you've built up on, because everything steams slightly in there and it goes all soggy. So I'm not a fan of that method, and I like to just utilize my heat correctly to get everything ready at the same time. And you can pile stuff on the corner of the grill and keep it warm while you're carrying on. So it's all relatively easy. The other thing is sausages. So boerewors, sausages, a lot of people put them on a grill that's ripping hot and not seasoned. The skin splits, all the juice comes out, flare-ups, all that sort of thing. So you're better off putting your sausage on and giving it a sort of more low and slow-esque type cook, migrating it onto flames when you want to get the browning on there. So you'll see I'll put the boerewors over on this patch now. So with things like chicken, you don't want to rush it in the beginning. You're going to make sure it cooks nice and slow without burning. This is the advantage of not using a marinated chicken. Some sauce with sugar on it, because that is just going to burn quickly. If I was going to be doing a sort of barbecue style chicken with a barbecue sauce, I would paint that on afterwards, once the chicken had cooked. So then it just goes back on quickly, just to tack up, and then comes off, and chicken's cooked, nothing's burnt. So as you can see, I've got quite a strong heat here. So now I'm just going to look at migration, like we have in the savannas of Africa. And I'm trying to put the more meaty parts forward so that they catch the most heat. So there's a lot of things that can obviously affect your heat control. Sorry. One of those is wind. Wind makes a massive difference to a cook. So I'm just going to throw just a few coals on that side, just to provide a bit more heat. Okay, we'll start some high heat cooking now. So we want to get this crispy, so towards the heat for now, then with the bone towards the heat to protect it once I'm happy with that. Lamb chops don't take long to cook, but I'm going to keep them warm. Because of their fat, they do a real good job at staying juicy. But they love causing fire with all of that fat dripping on, so you just got to make sure you're prepared for when it gets a bit lively. So some of the sides I've missed out on today that are also typical with a braai, depending on, of course, what culture you're from, what race you're from, would be sasatis, which is a kebab, normally marinated. You'll see in South African supermarkets, in the butchery counter, there is loads and loads of different flavors and varieties, different meats as well. Sasati is good because you can cook chicken breast well enough for the ladies, while you save all the red meat for yourself. Pork with the fat, you have to watch again, like a hawk, but that's already looking really good. And then these chicken wings, once I'm sure they're done, I'll migrate to the back to stay warm. I've rotated the sausage, flipped it over. Keep an eye on that. If you don't burst the skin, you can get a nice caramelized brown coating while still having a nice, decent, juicy sausage on the inside. That's first prize. Otherwise it just bleeds out and you get a dry sausage. Nobody likes a dry sausage. And also another big South African favorite is called a braai barbeque. It's a grilled, essentially like a grilled cheese sandwich there's many fillings, many variations, but it's done on the grill like this. It tastes better than anything you've ever had, and often it'll be my favorite part of a braai. When they're done well, they are just absolutely next level. I'll be doing a video on those. They're so important that I'll do a separate video on those. These are thin loin chops. I normally like mine a bit thicker. Then I can stand them up on the bone. They're like little T-bones, so you can cook from the bone in. You get the sear on the outside, then you stand them up, and the bone protects them from that high direct heat. But lamb and fire are best friends. Then you've got to always think about thickness. So this pork chop versus that pork chop is twice as thick. So this one is going to need a lot less time. So it's great that I've got a nice high heat under it. But I can step it up here. You don't want to cook these too long, especially high, because then of course they dry out. But likewise, you could also put a nice sauce on these once they're done. Safe internal temperature for chicken, 75 degrees Celsius. I think that's about 150 Fahrenheit. But with the low and slow portion that's going to come on these, I can just set them off on the side now. Again, putting the thickest part forward to the heat. Okay, so we're in the latter stages of the cook. So another advantage of all of this real estate and heat control is when these are done, they can rest, and then I can finish these off in case they need a little bit of toasting up on some fat or whatever, or I temper rib and it's underdone, it can get some hot treatment. So this is definitely ready to rest. Aiming for a medium rare on a ribeye, and then I'm aiming for rare on the steak. With me, sometimes blue, but unfortunately I've got other people eating into this today, so I'm going to have to go more rare than blue. Excellent crust. This is the picanha part of the rump. I'm going to hide these ones away for myself. Just beautiful. A little over what I was wanting to do. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. I'm not going to worry about the sides. I've just got my man salad here. The sides are for rabbits and ladies and things. But yeah, got the ribeye. I've eaten all of this off camera, but this ribeye is exceptional. Beautiful, amazing tender piece of meat. You could have sauces. The mushroom sauce is common. Garlic sauce, pepper sauce, cheese sauce. My favorite pepper, mushroom and cheese sauce with garlic. World's your oyster, right? This picanha, being rump, a little tougher. That rump flavor. The US I call rump sirloin. Cheers. Shorts. I had to duck a couple of showers while I was doing this. Quite a frantic cook actually with the weather pattern in. Lamb chops. Lamb chops you always have to serve hot. That fat congeals afterwards. We're about 15 degrees today, so that fat's gone hard. Great crunch. A little bit tough, that lamb as well. Unless we want to marry it. Boerewors, still got juice. Lovely snap. And of course, I made it, so it's the best ever. Pork chop. It's not even dry after 15 minutes of resting the beef, setting up, taking the photos and all that. This should be dry, but it's not. Like to the eye it's dry, but because it was on the low side for so long, it didn't push all that moisture out. Very good. Can't beat Cajun and pork, man. Chicken wings. Oh, that pork is good. Great flavor on that skin. It's rendered, it's crispy. It's like roast chicken skin. It's just like roast chicken with a bit of the spice. Peri peri wings are my favorite. These are good, man. So I hope you enjoyed it. As any South Africans watching, you pretty much know most of it. Just have to include that I left a lot out on this video. You can imagine something that South Africans take so seriously. There is a whole raft of different items that are cooked and paired differently and all of that sort of thing. Then the cultures have their various permutations and stuff like that. So it's really a complex thing. The main thing that keeps it together, or that's the linchpin, the keystone, is the cooking on fire. Yes, you can cook this on gas or whatever, but let's not go there. But that's a braai for those poor Aussies that have to cook on the barbie on gas because of fire restrictions. I do feel sorry for you guys. Come to holiday in South Africa and cook with us on fire. And to the American guys watching and girls watching, hopefully, I hope you've learned the difference and how we do it, and maybe prefer exactly what you do and you keep doing it, or you want to try a little bit on some live fire. But yeah, thank you. Cheers. And before leaving, I'd like to dedicate this video to all of those. It's VE Day 80 years since Victory Day today, and I'd like to dedicate this to all the people that fought in the Second World War. My granddad was one of them, fought in Burma and in North Africa against the rats. So this is dedicated to them. There aren't many left alive. I was watching a parade earlier. Those people are like 90, 100 years old. So not many people left that fought for us to be able to do this. So yeah, this video is dedicated to them, and see you soon, hopefully. That's it.